Happy Martin Luther King Day to you all. Thank you for your time. I've got a semi-short piece. It's called 10 Toes Down, if you guys don't mind. A lot of text up here. I love it. There we go. Oops, stop sliding. Stand on business. 10 toes down. What do those words even mean? They're phrases that are commonly used today to reference individuals, groups, holding their ground, standing firm with regard to their personal values, morals, beliefs, principles, right? Stand on business is exactly what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did. He stood for the advancement of civil rights for people of color. He stood for Christian beliefs. He stood for nonviolent activism and nonviolent resistance. He stood when he spoke. He stood when he preached. He stood when he marched. He sat, he lived, he died. But when he was taken from us, he didn't stop standing on business. His presence continued and continues to stand. Through statues, memorials, his speeches continue to stand. His words, his work, his voice, his beliefs are all still standing. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down for 385 days straight in 1955 during the Montgomery bus boycott until the Supreme Court made segregation on public buses unconstitutional. He was 10 toes down during the birth of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down during the 1963 Birmingham campaign to combat police brutality. He was 10 toes down when he helped push for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He won his Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 because he was, what? You guessed it. 10 toes down, right? He was 10 toes down during his marches in Selma that prompted the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down when he led the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom on August 28, 1963. He was 10 toes down when he gave his I Have a Dream speech. Martin Luther King Jr. was not 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He was all 10 toes down when he began his journey at Morehouse College at the age of 15 and graduated at just the age of 19, receiving his BA in sociology. He was 10 toes down all 29 times he was arrested. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down when he explained his opposition to the Vietnam War. He was 10 toes down when his passing spurred the passing of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down at all times. Martin Luther King Jr. was 10 toes down at all times for our civil rights and our well-being. And we're still fighting for our civil rights. So do not let your guard down. There's plenty of work that still needs to be done. Stand on business, stay 10 toes down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did. Thank you.